In this video, I am taking a look at this game, Bonaparte Overruns the Piedmont. And I'm going to be doing a coverage of scenario Montenotte, um, really the first battle in Napoleon's career as a leader in 1796. So I apologize in advance for mispronouncing some of the names and the towns in this video, but I'm just going to give a brief overview of the story that unfolded when I played it. So we'll go down to the map.
So we are looking at Napoleon in Piedmont, and we're doing the day of battle. This is at Montenotte, and it's 7 in the morning, April 12th. And basically, I rolled for weather. I got fog, so that reduces movement points by 1, and it's going to really hamper the artillery until the fog lifts. So basically, what you see happening is La Harpe's division, the advance guard, tried to get into command and it failed. So they didn't move. So Messina did try to move to get over to be able to put them into command. In the meantime, Argento was leading the Austrian forces. He decided to fall back a little bit to get into a better defensive position with this French onslaught happening. And I was able to get a couple of the Austrian units from the rear to move a little bit, and the Piedmontese units also started moving out of Dago in that area toward where the battle is going to take place. So this first picture is kind of showing where things are standing after the first turn is done. That's 7 a.m., so we're going to go ahead to 8 o'clock. So on the 8 o'clock turn this time, I was fortunate, and I got Larp in command. And so he was able to move the advance guard along the roads headed toward Mont San Giorgio, and then Messina headed toward to join the rest of the group, and he got as far as Monte Capiglietto. And so that's kind of how far they got. It's still foggy out, so I'm not able to do anything. Nobody's into contact anyway. So Argento, yeah, he's leading the Austrian units here, and he ends up falling back, toward Montenotte Superior, and he was able to get into supply, and also some of his units. Salish was able to get in command through initiative, and he marched through Montenotte Inferiore, and so the reserve artillery got through. However, there's an infantry unit, Piedmont B, and the 6th artillery that's stuck in Mioglia, and then the Piedmontese troops under Montferrand and the 3rd Grenadiers were able to use road march, and they have come down into the area of Sedel Serra. And that's pretty much how the 8 o'clock turn ended up. So going to the 9 o'clock turn, it has now started raining. So the fog lifted, and now we know why there was fog. The rain has started. So that's going to block line of sight and cause a lot of mess. So the French forces were able to get in command because Messina's on hand now. And basically, Casa and Pigeon have moved on the, they're holding the French, I guess you'd call it, right, and they are hitting one of the forward Austrian brigades. It's the Kirpen brigade, and they're going to try to launch an attack against them. So the French attacked and basically got a shock combat result, but Piedmont is got a 4 rating, so it ended up causing a defender retreat. So Kirpin fell back into the hills just to the rear of him. He's still covering the Austrian left flank here. So the Austrians have one attack on their left flank. They're hitting Piedmont's brigade with Kirpin, and it's basically a 1-to-1 attack. We'll see how it goes. This attack basically is repulsed in the sense that we got an attack or retreat, but it has an asterisk, and because it's raining, I'm calling this a storm, so it's actually going to be a shock combat. So we end up with an attack or retreat anyway. As it turned out on this turn, Piedmont's brigade and the 6th artillery battalion are still stuck in Mioglia, and the Piedmontese units, Montenotte and the 3rd Grenadiers, also kind of stalled where they are because they weren't able to be in command. The French player now at, I believe we're at 10 o'clock, the French player decided to be aggressive here, and Messina and Larp end up moving forward, and Menard and Rampon are going to be attacking the Austrian Rakavina brigade, and then the Cervoni is going to attack the 8th regiment, and then Piedmont will attack the Salish brigade, and then Casa is going to attack the Kirpin brigade. So this is quite a lively turn, finally. Photo 7 here is showing the pre-attacks. So I decided to run my first attack right in the middle. Cervoni hits one of the Austrian units and gets a defender retreat, and I advanced Cervoni into kind of a dangerous position, but it is to try to cut off the Rukavina brigade. Anyway, that was a risky move because on the left flank, Rampon and Menard attacked the Austrian brigade, and they ended up getting a shock attack, and the Austrian unit's very good, and so it ended up being both sides take a reduction, and they're just kind of stuck in the same place. So now Cervoni is cut off. So that might have been a huge mistake. Then, to make matters worse, Piedmont tried an attack against the Salish brigade, and he got repulsed also and was forced back. So this truly does pin the Cervoni brigade. Then on the French right, I'm attacking Kirpin with Casa, and I ended up getting another shock result, which resulted in both sides being reduced. So this was a rough turn here for the French. I mean, both sides took casualties, but I'm afraid for the French. So this time, Piedmont and the 6th artillery were able to get into command, so they went into road march to try to get them as far forward as I can. So Argenteau has a real problem down here, but he does have a shot, at the that strong French unit, Cervoni, which is somewhat surrounded. I mean, the best he can get here is a 1-to-1 attack. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, we get another shock. They both have 4 rated units, so we have another step loss for both. So the French dodged a bullet there, not having to retreat. Then Rukavina is into an impossible attack against the French left and gets an elimination. He's so outnumbered. So that unit's gone. That didn't shake out too good. And then finally on the Austrian left, Kirpin counterattacks Casa. It looks like a 1-to-1 attack here as well. And this time it is the Austrians that are repulsed and they have to retreat. And they decided to fall back into the village Ca del Sola. So that's the way things shake out. This next picture will show you what things looked like. So we're continuing now. It's the 11 o'clock turn in Montenotte, and Messina's got the French going for another round at Montenotte Superior, and it's somewhat of a frontal attack here. Both sides have taken quite a few losses. The rain hasn't helped things very much at all. So the first attack is going to be on the flank, and Menard and Rampont are attacking. The Lipte Brigade, which is actually in the location that they want to capture, Montenotte. I ended up rolling a shock, and in the end, the Lipte Brigade was forced to retreat. So it retreated straight backwards toward Brick della Presiata. And so this allowed the 1st Regiment under Rampont to capture this location. So that's just what the French wanted. Then the next attack is going to be by Cervoni. He is in the center. He is attacking the Austrians over a bridge. And so Argento is defending with his units there. So this is it's not quite a 1-to-1 attack. And I get a shock result, and that basically is going to be a defender retreat. So the Austrians have to fall back across the stream, and Cervoni advances, and now we got to see what happens to the leader. That he was in a bad position there. So Argento ends up being able to retreat with his stack. So that was a lucky break for the Austrians. Then I continued with this attack, having a Piedmont and a Casa attacking the reduced brigade. It's an Austrian brigade commanded by Salish. And we'll see how this goes. This is on the French right. So the result of the combat is the defender retreat, and unfortunately he's caught in a zone of control. So Salish brigade is eliminated. So photo number 11 here is showing what things looked like after this very successful attack by Messina. So in the Austrian part of the turn, the Piedmontese are coming in along the road from Digo, and they are coming up upon Rio Delta Vola, but they're still short of it. General Argento did not pass his command initiative, so he's stuck. And then some of the units coming down from Miaglia are also stuck out of command. However, Pittoni's B unit brigade is active, and he is going to kind of keep driving toward the action to try to bail General Argento out. Unfortunately, the Austrians are in an unfortunate situation of having to attack So they've got a couple of attacks that have to go. Liptay's brigade has to attack Rampeau at Montenotte, and then Argenteau has to attack the 2nd Regiment from the advance guard under Cervoni, who is just on the main road just to the right of the troops in Montenotte. Ends up going into shot combat, and Liptay gets an attacker retreat result, so he falls back, which is kind of what he wanted to do. So then Infantry Regiment number 8, which I believe is Archduke Anton, is forced to attack Cervoni, and it's not at a good odds attack. However, they do get a defender retreat result, but they are not going to advance because that would be a very dangerous position for them to get into. So that's how things shake out. I'll put a picture up here showing what things look like after the Austrian counterattack disengagement. And that would be photo number 12. So we go to the noon turn, and the weather finally cleared up, so it's fair. So the restrictions are basically gone now. Also, the French finally get their baggage train for the advance guard corps, so that's going to be useful. So I had the French troops at the, I believe it's the noon turn, move into further attacks. Casa and Piedmont are on the right flank, and they've moved in against some artillery, the reserve artillery. And then I had Cervoni and Rampeau are going to attack the center with Infantry Regiment number 8 and Argenteau. And then I've got the 1st Brigade along the road attacking the Liptay Brigade, which is at Brick del Preciata. And we'll see how these attacks go. Things are looking very good for the French here, though, I think. So on the left flank, Menard takes a shot at Liptay, and they end up having a shot combat, and all things being equal, they both lost a step. Then Cervoni and Rampeau are attacking the Infantry Regiment number 8, as well as the 2nd Artillery Battalion, just to the the north, I guess you would call it northeast of Montenotte. So that looks to be a decent attack. So I got a defender retreat 2 there, and now I got to see what happens to the leader. Argenteau is kind of left behind, and he manages to escape. So I had Cervoni advance after combat. They are, I believe, barely in supply. Then Piedmont and Casa attacked the reserve artillery, which is at Monte Salamonetto, and the French have a little bit of an advantage here too. So this is a very high odds attack because the reserve is in, the artillery's in the woods here, so that doesn't help it out. It ends up being eliminated. So that's good. The French right did a great job. And so Piedmont's brigade moved forward into Monte Salamonetto. And that's pretty much how the French shook out their combat this time. So this time I was able to get Argento, there we go, in command. So he tried to pull his forces back. Unfortunately, Liptay is stuck in some difficult terrain, so he's a little bit out of position. However, I've got the Piedmont troops are coming in on his right. It's the 3rd Grenadier, as well as Montferrat, and hopefully they will protect him a little bit, but they're not quite close enough to. I did get some rear area troops to be able to move, and Mitrovsky has marched down toward Gisvala, and he's not quite there yet, so he's still a ways out of the battle. So now we go to the 1 p.m. turn, and the French are going to get us started off here. The French have now moved up on the French right. They've come into contact with Kirpin's brigade. They're going to hit that with Pigeon and Casa, and then Cervoni, Rampon, and Menard are in contact now with the unit that I mentioned before that was kind of hung out, Liptay B Brigade. So these are the 2 attacks that are going to occur. So I decided to resolve the French right first, and Pigeon and Casa have forced Kirpin to fall back to Montenotte Inferiore, and that's pretty much puts them in a little village there, which is somewhat protective. Casa and Pigeon hold back because they don't want to get too far ahead of the army. Then we go to the French left. You've got Menard, Rampon, and Cervoni attacking Liptay, and this unit is in a lot of trouble, but it isn't surrounded, so that's the one thing in their favor. So basically, I got a defender retreat 2 that actually works in the benefit of the Austrians. So Liptay is able to cross the Rio Delta Vola, which gets him into a little bit better defensive position, but it's very clear the Austrians are just giving up ground at this stage. So you've got photo 16 there showing the positions after the battle, and you see the Piedmontese coming in on the left frame of the French line. Most of the Austrians are out of command this time, so they can't do a whole lot, but they're not in horrible defensive positions. I was able to get the Piedmontese, one of the units, activated, so he was able to position on the Austrian left flank. So I've got some defense there. So now we go to the 2 o'clock turn. The French are going to press forward and try to inflict more hurt on the Austrians. The French have a number of attacks here, 2 attacks I should say, and the one is going to be on the center at Montenotte Inferiore, and you've got Casa and Pigeon attacking there, and they're going to have at least I think it's a 1.5 to 1. So in the end, you get a shot combat. Kirpin retreated, and so the 1st Regiment moved forward. Then there's another attack with Rampon and Cervoni attacking Liptay. This is across a stream. So this was a 2 to 1 attack, and Liptay is forced to retreat. So we were able to advance across the stream, which I decided to do. And that's pretty much how it shakes down for the French. So we go to the Austrian part of the 2 o'clock turn. So this time, Argenteau is able to get in command, as well as the Piedmontese unit. So they form a defensive line, sort of screening toward Dago and Mioglia. I got a unit, Mitrovsky's unit is kind of stuck. He's out of command, and he's a low, a low initiative unit, but I do have some reinforcement, and Adams' brigade comes in along with the 7th artillery battalion, and these guys come in from Mioglia along the secondary roads. There is no combat this time. So we go to the 3 o'clock turn. The French have to figure out how they want to pursue here. So the French make a cautious advance. I basically have only one attack. Cervoni is up against Montferrat, which is a Piedmontese regiment. And the French have a little bit of an advantage. And I got to defend a retreat, so Montferrat just retreats one spot, and the French just maintain their position here. And it's, they've taken some losses, so Massena has to kind of think about what he wants to do. So that was me just finishing up the 3 o'clock turn here with the French. I'm basically not going to do, I'm going to call it here because the French have a significant amount of victory points. I mean, the French have a very clear victory here. So I'm just going to call it here, but fun game. Napoleon wasn't really on the scene here, but Massena really proved himself in this one and did a great job. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you have a great day.